Hello again. My name is Major General Gifty Gravity and I welcome you to the first episode of AquaArmyAfrica, a video magazine presented by FishFarmAfrica.com, an online magazine dedicated to the promotion of fish farming in Africa. In this magazine, I invite you to learn about the interesting opportunities in aquaculture, and I invite you to take a giant step forward and join the group of aqua entrepreneurs who are providing Africa with delicious, highly nutritious fish. Today, the volumes of fish caught from our marine sources all over the world have reduced substantially. In many African countries today, we spend quite an amount of foreign exchange to import fish, and this is hurting our economies. At the very least, we need to cut down drastically on the volumes of fish we import. Aquaculture is recognized as the business with the capacity to reduce the dependency of fish imported. In the process of producing fish through aquaculture, a lot of jobs which are decent are created. Aquaculture also helps to mobilize resources, natural resources like our lands, waterways, spread all across Africa to economic use, thereby improving livelihoods, especially in the rural areas where they are most needed. So, what is aquaculture or fish farming? Does one simply dig a hole like our ancestors did in years past, throw in some baby tilapia and catfish here and there, drop in some kitchen waste here and there, and wait for a few months to harvest fully grown fish? Unfortunately, that's not the case. Fish farming is defined as the practice of raising fish in an enclosed area, usually for profit. Fish farming can be practiced in various spaces, including rivers, lakes, concrete, earthen ponds, plastic, tarpaulin ponds, and a lot more. Different types of fish may be farmed in different environments, but in Africa, tilapia and catfish are the predominant species which are raised. In various parts of Africa, tilapia or catfish may be the dominantly farmed fish. In Nigeria, for example, they usually produce a lot of catfish. Although in recent times, a lot of effort is being made to increase tilapia production. Now, let's go to our experts and find out some correct details. I have been joined by Dr. Grace Boama, a lecturer at the University of the Environment and Sustainable Development at Somanya here in Ghana. Dr. Grace, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Please, could you tell us what is aquaculture or fish farming, and what does it involve here in Africa?
All right, thank you. Again, Major General Gravity. Yeah, like you rightly said, fish farming is the raising of fish in an enclosure, primarily for food. But aquaculture, it's quite broader. It involves raising any aquatic organism. It could be mollusk, it could be shrimps, it could be crustaceans, it could be seaweed, yeah. And the purpose of fish farming or aquaculture has also gone beyond mere provision of food to profit creation, because aquaculture is a business these days. So providing raw materials to industries, yeah. And what does it involve? Aquaculture or fish farming involves a decision or choosing what type of species you would like to culture. Like I said, a lot of species are involved. It could be seaweed, it could be shrimps, it could be crabs. But in Africa here, we are basically looking at tilapia and catfish, and also choosing the type of environment. It's not just about fresh water. You could have brackish water, you could have marine, which is the oceans. Yeah, it also involves deciding on the type of enclosure, whether you would like to do it in an earthen pond or a tarpaulin tank or a cage, which is predominantly used in Africa here. Aquaculture also involves getting good fingerlings, all right, the baby fish, okay? And so you have to look for healthy source of fingerlings, okay? It also is a business. That means that you should plan well, you should prepare very well throughout the process with the help of experts, all right? And last but not the least, the issue of biosecurity, as in the process of or the procedures involved in keeping your farm free from pests and diseases. Okay, so basically, this is aquaculture or fish farming and what it involves. Yeah.
Okay, now, Doc, why is fish farming relevant here in Africa? And why should we young people, when I say young people, I'm not just talking about the youth, but anyone who has enough energy to go into the business, why should we take it seriously?
All right, good question. So records are showing that capture fisheries, okay, is actually going down, and the only way to get more fish is actually to produce more, and so aquaculture comes in. So the first importance is that the capture fisheries is going down, and so we have to boost the production of fish through aquaculture or the cultivation of fish species. The second thing is that Africa, we have a protein deficit. That means that our protein content, as in consumption level, is pretty low. Of course, we have other protein sources, animal protein sources. We have poultry, we have cattle, but those are quite expensive and usually reserved for special occasions. Like growing up, we used to eat chicken during your birthday or Christmas or something like that. So fish is quite affordable. It's cheaper and it's a good source of animal protein. And so we have to grow more fish if we need to eat fish, and it will help us boost our protein levels in our system. The other thing is that we are eating a lot of fish, but we are producing less. That means that we import most of our fish, okay? And so we are using our hard-earned money to import fish, which is not too good for economy. And so one way to resolve that is to go into aquaculture. That makes aquaculture very important for us as Africa, all right? And why not? Because Africa aquaculture is a good business, okay? It could help us in terms of our economy. It could help in creating jobs. And so aquaculture is definitely a good opportunity in terms of job creation for Africa to go into it. Yeah.
Thank you. So then, our next question. Well, basically, when you were given your introduction, you mentioned that we need to get fingerlings from a good source. Okay. So would you advise a farmer who just entered aquaculture to grow their own fingerlings? If yes or no, why so?
Okay. It's good. It's good for people who are starting fish farm to do their own hatchery or to grow their own fingerlings. I mean, people do it, farmers do it, they have their own fingerlings. But for a starter, I would encourage that they walk to an existing hatchery. Of course, it should be one that is producing healthy fingerlings, okay, to get their fingerlings so that they could focus on the core business of fish farming, as in the grow out, okay. And once they're established, once they are making some profits, they can expand their business by adding the hatchery aspect. So yes, you can do your own hatchery, you can grow your own fingerlings as a farmer, but for a starter, go to the commercial producers, get your healthy fingerlings, and concentrate on the core business of the grow outs, okay? And then later you can add the fingerling production. Yeah.
Amazing. So viewers, you heard it from Dr. Grace Boama, a lecturer at the University of Environment and Sustainable Development at Somanya here in Ghana. Doc, you studied your PhD in China, which happens to be a global superpower in fish farming, right? So could you share some perspective and experiences which could be relevant to us as we intend making aquaculture a major activity here in Africa?
Thank you very much. Major general gravity. Yeah, interesting question. It's known worldwide, globally, that China is the leading producer, of course, contributor of the global aquaculture. Okay, so if we talk about aquaculture production in the world, China is a major contributor. Well, I believe that they realize the need to feed their own people. Okay, because also they have quite a huge population, and how to feed their people is to grow fish, and so they recognize the need to feed their own people by producing fish. Okay, so I think that's one lesson for Africa. We have to realize the need to feed our people with what we produce. And so we have to go into aquaculture so that we can feed ourselves, because we need the fish and we rely on fish. Okay. The other thing is that China, through research, through technology, okay, has been able to diversify their aquaculture species. And so they don't just grow tilapia and catfish or something like this. They have, in fact, I would say they grow almost everything in the ocean or everything in the water. And so they have diverse aquaculture species that they are growing. And that is achieved through research, through technology. And so a take home for Africa is that we should invest in aquaculture research. Okay, we should invest in technology so that if we are able to diversify our species, we move beyond just catfish and tilapia to all other species that we find in our oceans or in our rivers, and then we can boost our production. It is when we have boosted production and we are able to satisfy ourselves, then we can send some out for export and all that. So yes, let's invest in technology, let's invest in research in the aquaculture industry. Let's find the need to invest in the aquaculture business. The youth and graduates should invest in the aquaculture business. I believe these are some of the lessons we can learn from China. Thank you very much.
All right. So moving on. Basically growing up, we come across kids fishing from stagnant water here and there. So it looks so simple. So if I have to go into fish farming, basically I need to get some amount of water, maybe dig a hole, put in some catfish and the rest. Is that how it's done? What's the role of experts in fish farming?
Okay, so the role of experts. Experts are actually very important in starting a fish farm. Okay, we are looking at if right from the start, okay, the entrepreneur or maybe the one who wants to go into fish farming is not really an expert, he's not a professional, but he can employ the advice, the guidance of an expert. I mean, you need an expert to guide you on how to dig your pond. If you have to do cage farming, you need an expert to guide you on how to construct your cage. Okay, at the point of handling the fish, managing the fish on the farm, checking the environment, the water quality, you need an expert guidance. After harvesting the fish, processing it, you need an expert, even at marketing point. So it means the whole value chain of fish production, you need to employ an expert. At this point, I would like to say, in most countries, almost all the countries in Africa, we have government agencies who are in charge of aquaculture or fish farming, and you need to contact these agencies, okay, to seek their expert advice, all right, because they would know that you are in the system and they can help support when the need arises. So, of course, expert advice is very much important, and contacting the right agencies involved in aquaculture in the country is also very important. All right.
All right. Finally, this is quite an interesting question, but we need to ask it. Okay. What's the role of groups and associations? And does one need to be a part of or a member of an association to become a successful fish farmer?
Okay, it's a big no. You don't really have to be part of an association, but it's encouraging. I mean, personally, I would encourage fishermen to be part of associations. Okay, you could, if you have your money, you have your land, you have all the resources, you could start a fish farm by yourself, but it's encouraged that you join an association. Why? Because it could be quite burdensome if you are a young graduate, you're a young person, you want to start fish farming. If you find yourself in an association, you could pool resources together. Okay, it's easy for an association to seek funding for their fish farming activity than an individual to go seek funding. It's easy for an association to mobilize resources, maybe feed, maybe fingerlings. Okay, just now we spoke about experts. Maybe as an individual, you can't even pay for an expert advice. I mean, to visit your farm and all that. But if you're an association, you could come together, mobilize the money you need, call an expert to educate you, to give you some training. And so associations are very much encouraged in fish farming. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Many thanks, Dr. Grace. Viewers, this is just an introduction. Over the next few weeks and months, we will treat you to more information about fish farming and give you more information on how you can start and become a successful fish farmer. We would like to hear from you. Your comments and answers we really appreciate. Please visit our website www.fishfarm.africa.com and learn more about developments in fish farming. Join the Aqua Army Africa and become a successful fish farmer. And let's make Africa an aquaculture giant. You can also send an email to fishfarmafrica@gmail.com. This is Major General Gifty Gravity saying thanks. Bye bye for now.